I think I'm not sure whether it's on both of them. You do a lot of work with not-for-profits.
Yes,
So let's talk about your business, how it's set up, how you got
sure.
into it, why you chose to be where you are, and then we'll segue through that to your biggest project and talk a
Sure.
bit about that.
So I started out, Pretty Work Creative is the name of the agency. And so we started out as marketing and branding. That's what we would do for small businesses. This is also during the time where everybody was a marketer and it just was crazy out in these spaces. And so I will never forget the one time I came across a client, potential client, and they wanted me to redo their website, right? And so I'm trying to get my proposal together. So I go to their website and I cannot tell what they do because they've got 3 or 4 different businesses on the same website and I'm confused. And so I sent her an email and I said, "Hey, it's like I'm working on this proposal and I would just like some clarity." It was like, "What business are we going to focus on this website? I'm a bit confused." And she said, "Lisa," she says, "I just spent like 10 grand with a marketing coach and they never asked me that question."
Oh my.
That's the kind of foolishness and folly I would encounter out in these small business streets.
Mm,
Um, and it's, all her money was gone. She had just paid the 10K to the coach. And so there was no money to update and, tear it all up and, well, let's start over and, do this properly, go through a process. And it's like, what business do you want? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today for what? It's like, what's our purpose? And so
yeah.
I found a lot of that. I found that back then, maybe a lot of small businesses didn't understand marketing and the importance of marketing. And so, in reality, and so this is where those daddy issues kind of weave their way into your business. I was always talking to the wrong people.
Mm,
I was always talking to the wrong people. Myself should have been definitely going the pure agency route and doing RFPs, working with government, with big businesses, people that understood marketing, and that would hire me as a woman-owned business. So I shied away from certification, and so those daddy they absolutely do weave their way, and they can impact your money. Just let
mhm.
me say that it can impact your money. So me thinking that what I had wasn't good enough or I didn't know enough. And here's the other lie that got me and messed up a lot of my money in the early days was that because I didn't acquire the knowledge like everyone else, like everyone
Like
else,
everyone
I came an
else.
untraditional route, that somehow it was devalued. If the knowledge is the knowledge, regardless of how you came across it.
Yep.
If you
Yep.
know it, you know it. And so
Yeah.
I devalued what I knew because I didn't come a traditional route. I didn't come up through agencies. I didn't come up doing all these things, but still had the knowledge. And so I shortchanged myself because I'm still working through my daddy issues that say I'm not good enough and that there's something
Right.
wrong.
Yep. Yep.
So my truth is, I was talking to the wrong people those first couple of years when I started my business, and it was frustrating. And so I tell business owner this: it's like your business will grow at the rate that you're willing to work on yourself.
Mhm. The 100%, 100%,
Your business
100%.
it will grow as soon as you're willing to work on yourself and work on your issues and you can see yourself and that maybe you don't need to do everything in your business. I have never let me be real clear and I will go on the record. Is my mic working? I will go on record. I never wanted to be the person to do all the things in my business. Back when I was 18 or 20, 21, 22, it was always to create a space to hire more people that looked like me so that we could all create something amazing. I would bring in the business and then just give these wonderful people a place to express their talent, do amazing work. It was never for me to do all the work. It was never for me to be doing all the websites, all the things that I know how to do because I had to learn them in order to do business for myself. That was never the plan.
Yeah.
That wasn't the
I
plan.
and people need to people women in particular need to hear that. It's okay to be the ideas and still know how to do all the things and bring people in to do that, because those people you bring in are probably a lot better at it than you are, even when you're
Absolutely.
really good at it.
Absolutely. And so I know how to do a lot of things well. Do I like doing some of the things? No, I don't. So I had somebody ask me the other day, it's like, Lisa, can you help us do X, Y, and Z? And it's like,
Mm-mm.
mm. It's like, can it be collaborative? I'll work with you as a group, but it's like for me to take ownership. And it's like, no, just
No,
no. No, no.
that's fantastic. That is fantastic. There was all these things coming out when we're talking about those things. So let's you've got your agency, you've got your film thing.
Yes.
You're helping clients, you're helping some not-profits getting their stories out, because
Yes.
that is.
Yeah.
Let me just segue. What is your, if I was to ask you, what is your unique ability, the thing that only you can do in your business? What is that?
I can see where the story is. I can tell you what makes for a great story. I
Perfect.
can
Perfect.
listen to you, and it's like, It's like, that's not necessary. Here's where the story is. This is what needs to be amplified to the audience. This is what you need to say to get out in front of the public to attract your customer. I know good story.
Perfect. And with that, how did you know that My Father the Queen was something that you had to? I know you started to write it as a book, but then
Yes.
you decided that it would be better served as a film. So let's go down that rabbit hole.
My Father the Queen. So, to be quite honest, it was part of my healing journey to write this out. And one of the things that I know for sure is that this isn't my experience is not unique. As much as I would love to think that I am the only person that ever experienced such, my wisdom and the gray hairs hiding behind Miss Clairol on top of my head tell me otherwise, tells me that I am not the only woman going through this, or the only man who's ever experienced this. And so I wrote the story, I wrote the script sincerely so that other people could see themselves and perhaps find understanding, find grace, find healing for the things that they've gone through. And so for the main character, her name is Kelly, and her father, his name is Walter. And so I want grace for Kelly and for Walter. And so this one person who read the script, they were reading through it, and she said, I felt some kind of way. And it was like, I'm rooting for Walter. I want Walter to win, because they understand. So it's writing these complex characters in such a way that you really do empathize, or you get a window into their lives, and then you begin to understand. And then once you can open up understanding, once you can really see people, once you can see them as human, as people, living, breathing people with lives and families and all the things, then maybe we can start extending grace.
And that is so important. We sort of touched on it earlier on, is
Yeah.
the inability right now of so many people in the world to take that deep breath and
Hmm.
extend grace.
Hmm.
And understanding is the wrong word, but appreciate that other people have different life experiences, and that has in many ways shaped how they allow themselves to respond and react
Hmm.
to whether it's triggers or other people and so on. So I kudos. I think this is going to be an amazing movie, because I know it's something that the world needs to
Yeah.
see. The challenge being for you, though, is that you're currently crowdfunding, right?
Yes.
What are the, why did you choose? I, I know nothing really about filmmaking. I was initially part of a docu-series on Netflix where they were doing interviews and so on. So I know a
Hmm.
certain piece, but why choose crowdfunding?
Hmm.
what's the number that you're looking for, and what's the time frame?
Sure. So I'll
You
work my
go
way
right
up to
ahead.
that answer.
Yep.
So being a woman filmmaker, it would have been much easier to do this as a documentary. If I had chosen to tell this story in a documentary form, there are a whole lot of grants that I could have competed for and probably gotten had I chose to go the documentary route. But I chose full feature film to tell this story because I know that that is the best way to pull people in, to get them attached to this story, right? And so, because I decided to do a full feature film, they're getting fun. Now it's a different experience funding this film. It's a completely different avenue, path that I have to take. So somebody once said, they said, Lisa, you're just laying down track for a train that's coming. So this is me. Everything that I'm doing now is laying down train ties for this funding train that will eventually catch up to what we're
Yep.
doing. So feature films are expensive. They just are. And I'll say this, that regardless of your color, regardless of your gender, no gender, regardless of sexual orientation, no sexual orientation, film making is hard. It is a difficult process, regardless of who you are. White, male, black woman, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Now, your level of hard increases when you increase those those things, right? So those special things that make us all special. So
Right.
the darker your skin gets to be, if you love somebody who is not considered normal, then it gets a little harder to get those stories funded and get them told.
Right.
Despite
So
all
you
this,
didn't pick an easy topic.
no, I didn't. I I didn't. I did, and it amazes me the amount of hatred, just hatred on a community, and you don't and you've never engaged anyone in the community. You just
It's
have
shocking, isn't it?
lumped everyone into one big dish, and we hate the whole thing. And so part of what this move, I am not part of some great gay agenda. No one reached out to me and say, tell their story and help us further an agenda. That is not that is not how this came about. This is, again, loosely based on, this is my experience. I can
Mhm.
talk about this. This is what happened to me. This is what, loosely what happened to me, and how life happens, right? And the beautiful thing right now is that I have so many, for every person that has criticized the work, that has made fun, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I don't support the LGBT community. It's like, I don't want to hear anything about it, or I can't do it, or it's against my religion. And, all these things, for as many times as I've heard that, I have heard from people with lived experience, Walters, Kellys, and everybody's in between, Carolyn's. I have heard from them, and they say, I see myself in this story, and it needs to be told because no one's ever talked about this. I had someone who covered my script, and they said, Lisa, this has never been seen on screen before. It's like you've happened on something that just has not been seen. So, of course, there's, you expect some pushback. That's normal.
Mhm.
That's with everything.
Yep.
But at the same time, in my business, Pretty Work Creative, I work with nonprofits, right? And so it is to help them tell their stories and to help amplify voices that need to be heard, because nonprofits do amazing work out here in the community, and that work needs to be amplified. Legislators, politicians, community leaders, business people need to see and know how their decisions impact regular people. So if you want to know how something is impacting normal folk, regular folk, talk to the nonprofit leader who is servicing that community.
Right.
They
Right,
know.
for sure.
They absolutely know. And so if you want to know what it's like to be the daughter of an LGBTQ member, ask the daughter.
Mhm. Yep. And that's you. Exactly. And
Ask
that's
me.
what makes the stories so much richer is
Mm,
that sprinkling of personal experience on top of it.
yes.
It just adds those pieces, and it will take time.
Yeah.
As I was, you haven't here's you haven't put the number out there. This
Oh,
is
I can
my
tell. So
please,
we
please.
are currently we're currently raising $50,000. Now, the $50,000 is not how much it costs to make this film. $50,000 is what allows us to start having conversations
Mhm.
with key people, and you need that. You need to start having these key conversations, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we're looking at a budget of maybe 1.5 to $2 million to produce this film.
Mhm. That's
And
and if you'd asked me a number of years ago if I thought that was a lot, I would say no. I don't think that that's a lot. I actually took when I was reading the numbers,
mhm,
I can do them in my head, but I always want to do it on a calculator. I went, okay, so there's 8.3 billion people in the world, and there's 330 million people in the United States. And if you took I don't know whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, but uh, not, and this is,
yes,
believe me, everybody, this is not a support of
right, right,
Donald
right.
Trump. But if you took a book out of his playbook and said, everybody who has an interest and wants to learn more about this and see this movie be produced,
Mhm,
$5, $10
mhm.
from, it'll come so quickly,
You
but
would think.
it's getting, it's visibility. It's
Yes.
the
Yes.
same challenges for businesses. It's visibility, and it's making it, you know, visibility, passion about the product,
Mhm.
the product or whatever you're talking about, and ease of getting the dollars to you.
Absolutely.
Three simple steps.
Yes.
That's all it is, and that's what we're going to help you in a little wee bit, is to help
And
get
that's a
started.
part, so there was a strategy to to all of
Yeah,
this. There
I know.
there was a strategy, and it's talked to as many people. It didn't matter if you were gracious enough to give me time and space to share this message, I was going to share it because you never know what gets picked up, when, and who hears what. So I have said yes to I've said yes to everybody. I've
Well,
only
I
had
just
one regret, and it's like, what in the world was that? But so everything else,
Well, this is fantastic. I have another question. You, when I was going through, you said that you had one particular actress that you really would love to have come on.
yes,
Gabrielle, I'm gonna put her name out there, Gabrielle Union, because
yes,
you never know who's looking at the podcast. But I went, who is Gabrielle Union? So I went, checked, and went, yeah, she's the amazing actress that plays she cleans the money for the Russian mobster in Bad Boys 2.
hmm,
And it's like, yeah, she would be, and she has an interest
yes,
in what you're talking about in this
absolutely,
film. So what a fabulous, vision board
yeah.
leading actress for your movie. So I just
And
wanted to get that in there too.
I think she would be awesome. I think there are. It's like if that's my. I. She recently did a film called The Inspection. Amazing film.
Really.
That that's a good piece of filmmaking right there, and I'm so sorry I cannot call the writer and the director's name, but brilliant work, and it's actually based on his life as well. So he's
Mhm.
a LGBTQ community member, who went to the Marines, and so it's that whole
Yeah.
experience of being in the military and
Yeah.
not getting the love or the respect of his mother. He's brought up a single parent home. And so it's a brilliant story, beautifully done. That's some beautiful cinematography. The story was great. So I'm loving it for all the things. So and then Gabrielle plays the mother, and I was like, oh, she played that role. And I had recommended the film to somebody else, and it's like I didn't even recognize that was Gabrielle until the end of it. So
Wow.
beautiful. And I think she could really bring Kelly to life. I really think she could. Not to say that there aren't other equally as brilliant and wonderful actresses. It's like, hey, I'm taking calls. Call me. I'm taking calls. So that's part of what we're doing during this fundraising is taking calls, having meetings, and waiting for
Excellent.
the WGA strike to end, waiting for,
I know.
the we're waiting for the streaming services to fix their very broken system right now and how it pays. And
I saw your blog post on that, and not being in that world, but things will things will change. They're changing in online as far as YouTube and all those
yeah,
TikToks compensating creators.
yes,
Creators are getting more notice, and their
yeah,
voices uh, are being heard more. So it does take time, but I know that it will happen in all different areas.
yes, it
So I
will.
want to be mindful of your time because I do have
Sure,
another interview after this, and since we had a time zone mix up on my fault,
no
I
worries.
do want to just if you could just let people know how they can reach
Sure.
out to you and support your film or your agency, whichever one tickles their fancy, as we say.
Sure. Okay, so I'll do this real quick. So if you are interested in donating, making a donation to the film, you can go to fundmyfatherthequeen.com. If you want to learn more about the project, you can also go there or go directly to the website, myfatherthequeen.com. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm on social media at Lisa N. Alexander. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also Twitter. I'm not on TikTok. Maybe by the end of the year, I'll migrate over. But you can find me in those spaces. And if you are a nonprofit and you want us to help you tell your story and to, work with you in marketing and making sure amplification and PR and communication and all those things, we would love to help you tell your story. And that's prettyworkcreative.com. That's how I personally stay in good trouble. We have a senator who passed away, John Lewis, the late Senator John Lewis, and he says, if you're going to get into any kind of trouble, get into good trouble. So that's
Right.
trouble that matters. And so that was all around the voting rights and things of that nature. But that just really stuck with me. It's like, if you're going to get in trouble, get into good trouble. And so this work this is my good trouble.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I loved our conversation. I have
Mm,
learned so much, and I wish you the best. And we
thank
will
you.
be back in touch to make sure that we're getting the best pieces so we can get everything out there for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Debbie. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Enjoy.
You too. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.